Okay, so this is an experiment with a new kind of video format for my channel. I'm trying to do some kind of video notebook where I record the things which I can't, for whatever reason, fit into a full video essay. Like I said, I'm just experimenting right now. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing these or not, but I'm hoping this new stripped down format will give me a way to publish more frequently and talk about all the stuff that always ends up slipping through the cracks between big projects. I've got this pet reading for the music in the Creation of Hyrule. That's the cutscene from Ocarina of Time where they show how the world was made. I really wanted to include this reading in the Zelda music video I published last week, but I couldn't because it kinda contradicted my thesis. See, I made my video to show how forward-facing Ocarina of Time was, how it anticipated the shift towards greater audience participation in the creation of music. But Ocarina was a transitional game, and as much as it was revolutionary, it was also rooted deeply in some older conventions, more specifically the conventions of cinema. When Nintendo made the jump to 3D in the 90s, they borrowed a lot from the visual language of movies because the medium of video games hadn't yet developed its own unique way of using the Z-axis. I think my favorite example of this is how the camera in Mario 64 is literally a movie camera dangling on the end of a fishing line. Ocarina of Time was a little more discreet in how it borrowed from the movies, but not by much. The music of film is fixed, and likewise the music of these filmic cutscenes from Ocarina of Time is more or less fixed. And this is the reason why I decided not to talk about the cutscenes in last week's video. I wanted to emphasize the parts of Ocarina's music that broke away from film and opera, not the parts that stayed the same. All that said, the Creation of Hyrule is one of my favorite cutscenes ever, and the music in it is a great bit of traditional film scoring. The cutscene opens up with three golden goddesses descending upon the void, and the music we hear sounds very strange. There's a harp, some chimes, and some voices, but they just seem to be wandering about from note to note without any real direction, failing to come together in a meaningful way. The reason the music sounds like this is because it is atonal. Atonal music, as the name suggests, is music that is composed in a way to avoid any single tone coming to predominate over the others. It's music without a center. This deliberately atonal music began to develop late in the 19th century and hit its apex early in the 20th with composers like Theodor Adorno and Arnold Schoenberg. It was a complete turnaround from the history of classical music up to that point, which focused on developing tonality, on building these huge symphonic structures and grand hierarchies of sound, all based on the foundation of one central tone. Atonal composers shattered the structure of traditional Western music, and this iconoclasm of centuries-old musical norms was very much in keeping with the spirit of the early 20th century, a time of social revolution and world war. Ideological and social pillars that had been in place since time immemorial crumbled under the oncoming force of modernity, leaving everyone feeling disoriented and adrift. No wonder then that this atonal music, this music without a center, came in vogue at the time. Koji Kondo's choice to use atonality in the beginning of this cutscene is brilliant because these associations match perfectly with the chaos of Hyrule before the goddesses came. We see a void without structure, center, or purpose, and the only music is that of lost voices and the flicking of harp strings. The real masterstroke of this piece, though, is that it doesn't just stay atonal. As the goddesses go about their work, there seems to be a certain strife in the music, a clashing discordance between the voices as they try to find a way to come together. Then, just as the goddesses prepare to leave, a miracle happens. The voices create a D-sharp dominant 7 chord. I won't get into the music theory of it, but it's enough to know that this kind of chord is a calling card of tonality. It practically forces you into a key, in this case, the key of G sharp. The voices come together in tonal configuration as the Triforce floats down, and a clear hierarchy of chords is established around G sharp. The world of Hyrule has been brought to order out of the atonal chaos, a great hierarchy of being founded on the power of the Triforce, just as the music now is founded upon that one central note.